Welcome everyone to the first of what we hope will be an annual deToledo and Milken Family Service Day. I'm Wendy Ordauer. I'm the Director of Service Learning at Milken, and we are thrilled to partner together in person after gathering the past 2 years on Zoom, doing our monthly SAC lunch program for Hope of the Valley Rescue Mission. We thank all of you who participated in the program then and now, and hope that we'll see you in the future.
Hi everyone, I'm Renee Levine-Blonder, the Service Learning Coordinator at deToledo High School. So both of our schools have had a long history with Hope of the Valley, Milken a little bit longer than ours, or a lot longer than ours. But over the past 2 years, we have donated over 6,000 lunches together. Today we're going to hear from a special guest speaker, and then we'll give you all the instructions for how to prepare the SAC lunches and the written notes and everything. Meanwhile, enjoy the breakfast while we have our intro to the program. So to introduce our special guest, we've invited singer-songwriter Jenni Alpert, also known as Cami, which is her birth name, and she's here to share her story of when she found and reunited with her birth father, Don, of blessed memory. She found him 6 years ago, and when she found him, he was homeless, but he was a musician just like her. Through their biological reunion story, their adventures, and her advocacy over the 5 years that they had together prior to his recent passing, she ultimately helped him assimilate into society for the first time in his life. With support, shadowing, and motivating his extraordinary transformation from self-identified vagrant to self-esteemed volunteer. In discovering Hope of the Valley Rescue Mission, while securing social services and stability for Don, they became key speakers and volunteers there, inspiring other people in need. Some of you may know Jenni in the Jewish community as songleader ParPar. Please welcome Jenni, aka Cami.
Hi everybody, I'm Carolyn, resident Camrys. I also work in service learning at Milken, and we're going to spend a few minutes hearing this incredible story, and we're really honored to have Jenni here. So, Jenni, your story begins, you mentioned to us, in foster care and that you were adopted, but how did you find Don, your birth father, and like what motivated you to search for him?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. Well, throughout my young adult life, I had a wonderful adoptive family that raised me Jewish and gave me a lot of foundation and love. Yet as an adopted person, there's a dichotomy because we have an identity that we're developing through our life, and then we have an identity that we're trying to figure out the roots of where that starts. So for me, I was inspired to go searching for my birth parents, but before I had a chance to start off with my birth mother, she had passed away. So I got a packet of paper that included my birth father's name that I sat on for quite some time because it was quite an involved story, my invention, the invention of me, I guess is what I should say, because I would say Don invented me and my birth mother invented me together. That's kind of what we like to say. And I also call them my birth parents because they gave me life, and the people who adopted me and raised me, well, they were mom and dad my whole life. So that's kind of the way we talk about them in these honorable ways. So I had a private investigator help me find Don. At the time, I didn't even know if he was living. I didn't know that he was homeless, and I didn't know he was a musician. I just knew that he was my birth father, and there was an address where he sometimes would frequent to get his mail. And I knew that he lived a little bit on the streets, and he had a relationship with using drugs as a way to make himself feel better. And that was his sort of life. And then when I met him and introduced myself as my birth name, Cami, just because I thought it would be smart to protect my legal name at the time, since I did already release a lot of music and tour around the world and was an independent singer-songwriter, sort of already searchable on the internet. I wanted to make sure that it was a safe relationship to discover. So for 3 weeks, I went undercover in the field with the help of a private investigator, locating my birth father, to learn that he was homeless, that he was a musician, that he was brilliant, He was a savant and different and amazing. And we just had 5 years of a profound partnership. So I'm so proud to share about it, and thank you for having me.
Amazing. So tell us, how did you help Don transform?
When I first met Don, what was really important to me was to make sure that he felt comfortable and loved and appreciated for exactly who he was, at exactly the moment that I met him, exactly how he was living. Because to me, and that may be what makes me a little bit of an octagon outside of the box, is that there was nothing wrong with his choices in his life except for when maybe there was crime and when he might hurt other people or himself. And when we say wrong, we say not the best choice, not the mitzvot that we learn to live in our lives, right? But I didn't want him to feel bad for those choices, because who was I to know why he made them, what motivated him, how he lived his life, what he didn't have before he met me. And because we had such a unique relationship, and I will say that I do know that this is very unusual, and I don't recommend anybody going into the field and building relationships with people who are experiencing homelessness without somebody there to help you, without having a lot of the education and information that I had before I did this myself. But I wanted to make sure that he felt accepted and loved. And as time went on, it was clear to me that he was starved for something different, something more. And he felt the same connection to me that I did to him. And because of our symbiotic relationship, and that we both wanted to love and support each other, he allowed me to step in and become an advocate for him and help him through all of these different transitions to obtain social services, to obtain security, to obtain shelter, to obtain all these different things. And while it was happening, because I had a lot of experience working in the field of those experiencing homelessness, as well as with youth and adults who happen to be on the autistic spectrum, or those who may have already been institutionalized in some setting, I was able to take some of the tools that I had and implement them into the relationship that I had with Don, where he was willing to receive them. And I became what's called a shadow. A shadow, which you may or may not have heard of or seen in your school before, where there's an advocate that's there helping a person who might identify on the spectrum, or who might have a unique way of operating in the world. And sometimes a shadow can help direct, guide, or lead an individual so that they can make the best choices that are in their best interest without them actually being told what to do. And that was what worked for us. And that's how, when he transformed, which was sort of it just was a product of our relationship, he became a self-esteemed volunteer and musician and performer as we decided to partner together and play music together. And Hope of the Valley, which we'll talk about a little more, that you're going to be making these lunches for, was this wonderful nonprofit place that we happened upon one day when I was looking for an AA meeting just to have Don go to so that he could have something to experience, and he liked to talk and share his story. So we went to this one AA meeting, and he was talking about his story and sharing his story of why he didn't want to choose to use anymore, because he was interested in having a safe place for Don and I to have this relationship now. And it happened to be on the campus of Hope of the Valley's main center, where they were offering all these social services to those experiencing homelessness. And we didn't realize that until all of a sudden I met Lori and Ken Kraft, who run and started Hope of the Valley. And ultimately that transpired a 5-year relationship where we ended up being their key speaker and performers for many of their events.
That's incredible. I want to know also, clearly this transformed you as well, and just, how did this whole experience shape you?
I was always a seeker. I actually had 2 very good friends who went to this high school years and years and years ago, who passed away very, very sadly in a car accident, but they were left here in this honorable way. And I used to come here wishing I went to school here, and I loved meeting them, and they helped me actually start to learn music from the very beginning. Avi Gesundheit and Mike Lewis, that I met through Brian Polsowski when they were here years and years and years ago. And I mentioned their names because I really feel like anyone who's passed on to this other realm deserve honor too. And when I found Dawn, it transformed me in a way because it filled a hole forever to help me see this unconditional love and how to build a mutual relationship and how to seek those that are willing and open and how to be okay with those who are not available at this time. And I think that that is a real key piece to discovering ourselves. So before you begin where you're going to be making these lunch bags, you're going to design them, you're going to be making the lunches. This is just such a wonderful thing that you're going to be doing, helping those experiencing homelessness have a healthy lunch. We're going to play a little video. We have to sync it up, so there's video and audio. We're going to play it. And then as it continues, if it begins to take too long, we can let it roll while you do your thing and we'll just keep it loud. And I'm going to help them press play so the audio syncs up. And I just want to say thank you so much for having me. And if you have any more questions later, you can email me or feel free to ask.
Meet our special guest. We are so appreciative of your sharing your heartfelt story with us, so personal. And if you come up to the table during this time in one of the stations, she can tell you more about Homeless, the soundtrack, some of the things the projects that they did together. So let's watch a few minutes of this, and then we'll get instructions for sandwich
We're invited to be subjects in a documentary called Homeless, the soundtrack. It's a short documentary. It's online now. 26 minutes. It sort of tells us a little bit of our story. It's cool. And also together we wrote a memoir called Home is Where the Heart Is, an adoption and biological reunion story. And we recorded music in a studio for Dawn's first time to be in a professional studio. So as you see these pictures, which I'm proud to share because to me he was a very special person, a very special light, it's going to transition into him speaking at Hope of the Valley rescue mission for those experiencing homelessness once he felt ready to be a leader. So I hope you enjoy, and thank you for having us today.
We have a special guest. They look alike, and your dad, he looks fly.
I didn't know if he was still alive.
I'm right where
I didn't know that he was a musician.
playing guitar and singing a song.
I didn't think my relationship to music just comes out of nowhere.
I'm trying to use the music part of it to get myself where I once was.
The next option is a sober living home.
Do you know that I know what you're telling me better than anyone in the world?
People think that I just don't care, but they don't know what's going on in here.
I ain't never had nobody do nothing like that for me before. Maybe someday I'll pay you for what you've done.
I'm in your
problem.
life because I want to be in
Well,
your life.
I didn't know any of that.
Because of you.
Guess you could say I'm up in the air.
45 years. I've never had a house. Even since I was a little boy, I used to run away and go live in the bushes. That was my regular thing. I've always been homeless. The very first time since I've been on this planet that I'm not homeless is with her. Other than that, I would automatically run away and go live homeless because I didn't want to deal with the cops, the parole officer, the probation officer, so I would just run. And abscond until they catch me. And then do the time and get out and abscond again. I never really understood freedom like this. It's a different life. I don't have any keys I could offer to homeless people that you can have a different life. What I'm just bringing to your attention is it can be done. You would have to want to do it, if that's what you want. Homelessness and having a house is within reach. You can choose. If you need to hook up with a friend or a family member, I would advise you to do it. Learn to get along with them if you have to. Quit doing the heroin and cocaine if you have to, like I did. I mean, let's be real about it. Yeah.
Do you have any other kids you're looking forward to?
No, I have no other children in this life at all. I did that with Mary Lou and then went right to jail. 9 months later, Mary Lou gave birth to her, and she went to Metropolitan State Hospital, so California put her in the adoption agency. Meanwhile, she was in foster home. See? She never actually was raised by us. So when I found her, I didn't know what to think, I didn't know what kind of life that she understood and what her way of life and wants and desires and so on and so forth. So certainly with the opportunity, I got a chance to get to know my daughter. That's exactly what I did.
what it's like to make your own way every day. In the middle of the night, in the middle of the day, somehow I'm gonna take this pain away. Living in a world where things are going wrong, something's gotta choose. We take innocent people, we hurt innocent people, send them on the way. You take innocent people, you hurt innocent people, something's gotta change. In the middle of the blur, here we go, spinning out, 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 and nothing stays the same. Never can be sure if there's a way out. Gray smoke filled with rain. We take innocent people heroin. We send people heroin. Send them on their way. We take innocent people heroin. Innocent people send them on their way.
Woke up, opened my eyes, and I'm looking at my daughter, and she has this life here in the Hollywood area, or Hollywood Hills area, whatever you call this area, Studio City area, whatever the area happens to be, which was far better than the area that I had, which was taken in the bushes by the gambling casino, supporting myself playing poker and all that kind of stuff. So we talked about it and reasoned, hey, look, if I walk in jail and clean up my act and straighten out my problems with probation, after all, I was on the run from probation, in addition to everything else. But maybe we can hook up together and maybe put some music together and she can get me off of the streets. And with that, I'd have an opportunity to start developing and living a little bit better and cleaning up my act. I cut loose with all the hard drugs. I don't know if I can mention it or not. But to testify and be honest with you, man, hooking up with my daughter made all the difference in the world for my life.
What's your name, sweetheart? Let's do your ceremony. Tracy's wasted on my face, drunk and I'm drowning in your wisdom. Why did I listen? Now I'm caught in memories of you. Heaven is I wanna know. Don't know what's real, don't think I'll be. Don't wanna do what I should. Heaven is a place right there. Don't know what's real, don't think I'll hear. Don't want to be good for you. Heaven is a place I'm running from. Carve your name in some new place and make that change.
heart. So repeat after me if you want to do it. Here we go, I'll say, listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. Let's do it one more time really loud. Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart.
Listen to your heart.
Listen to your heart. You know, it's time to make a change for all the change we left to chance instead. So take a step now, forward to the side now, and don't you mind how to get ahead. 'Cause all we need is love, love.
We want to acknowledge the student chairs of this joint partnership, Jordan Norris from deToledo, okay, and Jordan Kext and Alexa Dardashti from Milken.
I also want to thank our other deToledo TOE volunteers who are here right now. We have Aliana Chasen and we have Sarah Gertz. Where's Sarah? Here. There she is, right there. Who are here to help us. And also we have my daughter Noah, who's an alumni, and she's here helping as well. I want to thank all of you also for bringing donations to add to the lunches as well. So thank you all.
That was Don, motivating other people, which is pretty incredible that he not only transformed, but then he made it the rest of his life to go out and motivate other people because he could empathize with the experience. So thank you for watching that. You're now getting instructions on making these sacred lunches.
Thank you, Jenni and Cami, for sharing your story and part of your life with us. I think it definitely helps put us in the right kind of frame of mind. Louder? Okay, sorry. So now what you're going to be doing, we have a couple different stations. So the first thing that we'd love you to do is to grab a lunch bag, and that's these two tables here, and if you don't have a spot here, there's the rectangular, the square table up there, and just decorate the lunch bag, kind of make it bright, cheery, colorful, and each person can make 2 lunches, so you'll do 2 lunch bags, and then after you make your lunch bag, then you can kind of do the rest of the stuff in any order you want.
Then maybe we can hook them together and maybe put some music together and get me off the streets. And with that, I'd have an opportunity to start developing and living a little bit better, cleaning up my act. I cut loose with all the heart bugs. I don't know if I can know that.
We all make mistakes, but I know you don't belong somewhere where inside your heart is breaking. Who we are, what we were, doesn't matter when we're gone. I want you to know for what it's worth, my love for you is strong, and you're not alone. This time it's all out of your hands, but I know the truth, and for you I will stand. Till the end I'll see you through, and no matter what it takes, there's nothing I won't do to get there and to spare your heart from aching. 'Cause who we are, what we were, doesn't matter when we're gone. I want you to know for what it's worth, my love for you is strong, and you're not alone.
Made my toe, my